Gather round, everyone. It's the third annual Michigan State ends the season with no bowl game Locked On Spartans episode. We're used to this. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, of course, rival fans. For the third year in a row, why wouldn't you guys be here? A great life just keeps getting better for all you guys out there. Thanks a lot for watching. Locked On Spartans, your team every day. I am your host, the husk of what used to be Matt Sheehan. Yes, we do this 5 days a week right here in the Locked On Spartans podcast. Rate, review, subscribe, comment below how you're feeling. Who cares? I care. You care. That's why you're watching. Failed season. Let's just get right into it. That's a failure of a season. Year one under Jonathan Smith in a year where success or failure, we had it pretty black and white, right? Make a bowl game, success. Miss a bowl game, failure. That's not that nuanced. That seems like pretty cavemanish. Like, oh, no, it must be either good or really bad. Of course, you could still miss a bowl game, but have some redeeming qualities of a season, especially in year one of a rebuild, like you were talking about all season long, right, Matt? Yeah, you can. This isn't one of those instances, though. Let me tell you just why it's a failure right here. After Michigan State loses, I don't even know the score, 40-something to 14 to Ruckers. Surprise, Michigan State scored on their first drive, and then it looked like they were playing with 7 people on offense the rest of the game. Let's just run down the list here of why year one under Jonathan Smith is a failure. Yeah, I get it. Woohoo, they went above 4.5 wins, or they hit 5 wins, whatever their Vegas total was. I don't care that Vegas expected one thing. Just in this day and age of the NIL era, of the transfer portal era, even at your worst, with everyone and their cousins rooting for teams that make bowl games, you should be able to claw out 6 wins in a schedule, especially when you start 3-0 to start the season. And hey, we were told, you know what? Don't judge us on wins, losses. I'm paraphrasing what Jonathan Smith said to start the year. Don't judge us on wins, losses. Judge what you see in year one under improvement. Will we play our best football at the end of the year? Will clunking out to 2-7 in your last 9 games to end the season? I don't even know if Sparty himself would say that's a successful first season. Look, no bowl game. Right there. That's step one of this becoming a failure. But yeah, let's just go back to that quote that I paraphrased here. I should have looked it up before we recorded. Sorry, didn't, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Essentially, we will be playing our best football by the end of the year. You will see improvement across the field by the end of the year. We will take our bumps, we will take our bruises, and whether you're a rational fan or irrational or some combination of both, like myself, I like to think, you kind of knew that, yeah, we are going to see some hiccups here. Yes, there are issues going into this season. The injuries did not make them any better, of course. But come on, guys. Getting blasted by Ruckers to end the season, technically, by definition, winning against a Purdue team at home. You got very lucky last week, too, and that was after you also got blasted against Illinois. Position group by position group. Did anyone improve this season where you could say to yourself, hey, really good work over the last few months? Quarterback, okay, Aiden Childs, I think he improved. I don't think enough for it to call it a complete success of a season for him individually, but sure, whatever. Not a great finale to the year for him, but what quarterback would have played good in this weather? Regardless, let's keep going through the list here. Running backs. Did they have a chance to improve against, going up with that offensive line? And I get it. We bemoaned this the entire season. That offensive line, yeah, they had some injury issues. You lost your starting right guard. Oh, and then that replacement very early on in the season. But even, the guys that you were hoping could improve, I didn't see it. Receivers, sure. Nick Marsh is here. He's alive. He showed up to more games than he didn't. So that's good. Outside of him, Isaiah Johnson had some good moments. Okay, kind of ends there. Tight end, be serious. Please be serious. Defensive line. we saw more games without a sack than we did see with the sack. All right, linebackers, I'm not so sure about that. Cornerback, safety, depleted, completely depleted by injury. And with them too, well, it's hard to play that position when no one can even tell you what color the quarterback's eyes were, because no one in that front even gets close to him the entire season. So did they improve? No. Am I going to hang that season over their heads? Probably not. I don't know. But no, just by and large, not improving anywhere. And that also goes to special teams too. You want to talk about this game individually for a little bit? Sure, let's just go through it. Kickoff directly out of bounds after your first touchdown. Botch snap on the following punt, which should have been kicked out of the back of the end zone for a safety. They were very fortunate that only turned into 3 points. But ultimately, when you're getting your cheeks clapped by 30, it didn't matter. But still, special teams took a big step back. Of course, way more issues outside of that. Childs missed a screen on that second drive very early on. And, the 4th and 1, tell me if you heard this before, they didn't convert it. They got stuffed at the line because, well, you just can't run the ball here in East Lansing. So, no, that's your quick synopsis of the game. Now, going back to how this is a failure, it goes hand in hand with lack of improvement. You didn't lose the last few games of your season. You got throttled in a lot of these games. You got annihilated and methodically annihilated in a lot of these games. Ruckers, who had nothing to play for, a 6-5 Rutgers team, nothing to play for, in miserable weather, in front of a dull crowd of 15,000, which that's not a slight on the fans. Those 15,000 people are the best 15,000 Spartans that we have. That is not a slight against them, but still, in an atmosphere where they should not have any energy getting off the bus. Well, tell me which team was playing for a bowl game today. And I'm going to be careful here because I don't want to do the whole routine of like, oh, Rutgers wanted it more, Michigan State quit. I don't think that's fair because I don't think every single player in Michigan State quit. I wouldn't even go as far as saying that most of them quit. Guys, unfortunately, MSU is just that bad of a team where they just do look like they quit by trying their best, unfortunately. So whether they did quit, whether they didn't, is it a problem? Sure it is. Did it impact the game? Highly doubt it. So, and just last thing for the failure. No. We're gonna start the next segment with this because this is about the retrospective painting of Mel Tucker, something that I've been seeing percolating on Twitter in conversations with people saying that, you know what? God, I really miss the Mel Tucker days. This is how bad this season has gotten. You have people yearning for the days of Mel Tucker. Now, hey, I'm a Detroit Lions fan. I am very, maybe just a little on edge for all this because I remember in our history, we had a coach. His name was Jim Caldwell. Objectively, a below average coach. Poor game manager, didn't understand situations that many times. The guy that took over, Matt Patricia, that guy was a buffoon in the highest order. He was so horrendous at his job that in hindsight, people were painting Jim Caldwell to be this Vince Lombardi type coach that, oh man, if only we kept him. Like that's how bad it's gotten in year one. Okay, Mel Tucker is our Jim Caldwell. He was not a good coach. He was a decent, if that, recruiter. We're going to talk about more of that, but I just want to set the table for next segment because it's gotten so bad this year. We have people wishing that Mel Tucker would have stuck along. Oh my God. But first you need to talk your ears off about FanDuel. If you watch Michigan State football this whole season like myself, you knew that you threw your entire account responsibly on Ruckers plus 1.5 today like I did. Got to double my account. Who cares? Wanted to lose those bets. We didn't. We know our team too well to know that, well, they were going to show up with a pulse today. Anyway, get ready to tackle the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to all in one place to place live bets on the NFL. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more. On the same page where you place your bets, just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Also, 'tis the season, gang. TeamTicker.com. They're going to have the holiday gift for the Spartan in your life. Or, hey, let's say that you're the Spartan in your own life. Treat yourself this holiday season. Get yourself a Team Ticker sign. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like a countdown to kickoff sign. juiced with steroids. It doesn't just count down kickoff. It gives you stats, AP polls, schedules, weather forecasts for upcoming games. This thing is truly the best item you will have in your man cave, your basement, your garage, your kitchen, your bathroom, wherever you're going to throw this thing. This will be a showstopper amongst your friends. So this holiday season, save $50 off. That is an insane offer by them. TeamTicker.com, guys. Again, $50 off with their holiday sale right now. Mosey on over to TeamTicker.com. Again, TeamTicker.com for $50 off the holiday sale. Now back to where we left off the last segment. Guys, I'm speechless. Because, look, I expected that, hey, this wouldn't be a smooth sailing season. I expected 7-5. I'm not going to walk that back. I'm not going to say that, I saw this bold, gameless season coming from a mile away. I knew it was going to get rocky. You perhaps thought it was going to get rocky too. Okay, year one of a rebuild. Never in my wildest dreams, even in the dreams where I thought that, maybe they could go 7-5. A lot of things have to go wrong. Even in those dreams, did I never think we would get to this level of people yearning for the days of Mel Tucker. Now, let's act like the whole Brendan Tracy thing never happened. Let's just, obviously, you probably got to let the guy go for that whole situation. Okay, that's for a different conversation that, quite frankly, I'll never have because we've had enough of them in the past. Anyway, you talk about rewriting some history, guys. He was not a good coach in game. Horrible. You want to go to the Ruckers game in 2022 when he nearly single-handedly blew that game or any other game in that season? Guys, he had Kenneth Walker. That was great. Give him a lot of credit for getting him out of the portal. Beyond that, not great. No bowl game in 2022. And I'm going to be honest, even if he was on the sideline last year, I don't think MSU goes bowling with him. He did not have the in-game coaching chops. That's a pun intended for you guys right there. And one thing that I'm also seeing too, which fair because Michigan State recruiting, we did a show on this last week. It's looking quite horrible. Hearing that, at least Mel Tucker was a great recruiter. Let's stop right here. Let's stop right here and not rewrite all the history. Right, guys? Fact, yes, Mel Tucker brought some really highly regarded kids here. He brought in some 4-stars, okay? Awesome work. Also, fact, yes, he did have 5 stars visiting campus. He had high 4 stars visiting campus. That's true. I would also visit places if I was going to get offered a few $1,000s just for visiting as well. Not saying that happened with every recruit. Not saying it happened with 0 of those prospects either. But yeah, you'll wonder why they all flocked here. Money talks, baby. Not for everyone. Just hypothetically, that could have been an issue there. Now, also fact, the problem is that a lot of those highly touted kids that came here, taking pictures with the Lambos, the Ferraris, the Goats, which I actually liked. I did like that pizzazz on the recruiting. The one problem is, though, most of them didn't commit here. And then you have, another fact. He understocked his classes big time, signing classes of 16 kids and 18 kids. Now, look, 6 kids doesn't seem like a lot. What's the difference between 24 kids in a class and 18 kids? Well, depth. Depth does. And that played into effect this year. I'm not saying that Mel Tucker's to blame for everything this year. This is on all parties involved. But let's not totally rewrite the history and make this guy sound like a top 5 recruiter in the nation. I understand things are horrible right now. But the Mel Tucker people, guys, go on YouTube and watch some 2022 games, 2023 games, because his fingerprints were all over that season, fired or not. And even the recruiting, it was fine here. Hard stop at that. It was just fine, okay? You can ask for someone else that's not just Mel Tucker or Jonathan Smith. And this leads me to my next point right here of, does this get any better? You guys, if you've even listened to maybe even one segment of one show in the offseason, you know that I loved the Jonathan Smith hire. Okay, he was at the top of my wish list even before there were whispers that MSU was targeting this guy. Thought he did a great job of rebuilding Oregon State in Corvallis. And look, is it over? Are we waving the white flag completely? No, not yet. Of course, I'm not saying this with the confidence that I did a few months ago, but I'm not totally sold out on it just yet. But we've got some issues to work on here. I also do wonder. this is not my take, but I'm going to trumpet it, amplify it, if you will. Mike Valeni, who has a radio show, Metro Detroit 97.1, of course, many of you do know him. I agree and disagree with plenty of things he says. That's not to say that I'm a Mike Valeni disciple. He said this in passing a few weeks ago, and I thought it was interesting that I do wonder if Jonathan Smith has a little bit of Monty Williams to him. And what he means by that, if you guys aren't in the NBA circles, is that, Detroit Pistons, they hired Monty Williams last year. He was out of coaching. He had an ailing wife. And, they gave him an offer he can't refuse to come coach the Detroit Pistons. Anytime the camera was on him, and also, the end result of every Piston game, it seemed that, he truly didn't want to be there. That he wanted to be anywhere else in the entire world, but he got an offer that he couldn't refuse. And, I'm just going to run this out until my contract runs out. They got rid of him after 1 year. Okay. Made a mistake, said yes to the money, regretted it, yada, yada, yada. Thought that was a little interesting what Valeni kind of allured to not too long ago is like, is there any buyer's remorse for Jonathan Smith right now? Now, this is a sticky situation here because we're talking about how emotionless he is on the sidelines, how little he actually seems to care during these games. And we had this conversation about a week or two ago with Kevin Greck of Can't Read, Can't Write. And guys, I did go back and I watched the 2022 Oregon State game, not to see what happened on the field, but just to see how Jonathan Smith was during that incredibly emotional game where the Beavers came back. I think they were down 17 in the fourth quarter. They beat the Ducks, most probably storied win in recent Beavers history. Jonathan Smith was the same. He is right now. But at this point, I got to say, even though, 2 years during that game, he was stoic, he didn't really talk to anyone, he was more of a CEO game manager, I got to say, even with all that said, it's weird. It's incredibly strange at this point to see Michigan State get pasted every week for the better part of this month, or the game they didn't get pasted, see their great lead in the first half dwindle away, and every time the cameras cut to him, microphone sticking straight in the air, not talking to anyone. Okay, bad play, bad penalty, not even talking to the player. I'm not looking for someone to go Bob Knight and choke the kid out on the sidelines, but maybe a word or two of encouragement, or even after a good play. The very few we've had here this season, as they're coming off the field, just absolutely nothing. Teams lining up to go for on fourth down. The camera goes to him. It looks like he's not even involved in the decision-making, and I get he's very hands-off. That is why people are drawn to him, perhaps. But, man, if I'm a CEO of a business, large or small, does not matter, and they are going belly up, we have people out there on the field that need some help, I'm going to say something to them. I'm going to show my face and show some leadership here. And it is just gotten to the point where I do wonder, and this is incredibly probably inappropriate of me, or maybe even immature to speculate like this, but I do wonder if, the ship was sinking at Oregon State. Michigan State got on him early, offered him a pretty nice contract. Did he just say, let's get out of Dodge, and then immediately came over here and said, uh-oh. And that's what leads me to the next point, guys, is how does this get any better? Okay, offseason, transfers, NIL. Hard stop there. Because I have reason to believe, I'm not reporting this, I'm going to have some more conversations with other people this offseason, but really quick, have reason to believe that maybe NIL wasn't all that it was cracked up to be when Jonathan Smith got this job. He could have been told one number, and then when he landed here, number could have been a little different, okay? I think it's very reasonable, even if you're not talking to people on the inside, to think that NIL is not going well. You're looking at the recruiting class that's ranked 58th in the country. That should be enough right there. We're going to get answers more definitively. I'm going to have some more conversations, but also we could just watch with our eyeballs what happens this offseason. Because if Marsh leaves, and he could, of course, any kid can leave. We'll see how many kids leave this offseason, how many they can actually retain or even draw into this program. That's going to get all of our answers about how strong NIL is. If it's not strong, then no, it's not going to get any better. Like, NIL is the way forward in college football. And we'll have the conversations of, okay, what happens if NIL isn't good? Later on, we're going to have some changes at the university, I think. But, we're not in a good place right now because, what do you need to improve next year? It starts on the offensive line. Few problems with that, though. One, offensive linemen are very hard to find in the portal. Like, position group by position group, offensive line, especially good ones, might be the position group that enters the portal the least. So that's one problem. Problem number two, let's say a good guy does go in the portal. What's going to draw him here? Let's say even NIL is strong. Okay, you know who else has strong NIL these days? Everyone. Any team in the country. Everyone's got millionaire and if not billionaire donors at this point. What's going to draw a kid to come here? A team that just came off 3 bowl gameless seasons and really didn't show any improvement. I don't know. So how does it get better? Guys, look, we've done a lot of upbeat episodes on this show. I've been called way too positive many a times this year. Not even Mr. Old Jolly Roger, Mr. Rogers over here can paint you a good picture right now. How does it get better? I don't know. We just wait. We hope that kids actually do develop. Last year, we got a lot of younger classmen, underclassmen is the actual correct term, that did get some good run this year. Maybe they could build off that. They're going to have to because it's not like they're going to have bowl game practices to get any better. So hopefully this experience in November, late October, meant something. Maybe you do get some transfers, and yeah, that's how it gets better. Really encouraging, isn't it? Oh. All right, so I asked for some of your thoughts on Twitter. We're just going to go through those in a little bit here, but first you need to talk your ears off about game time. Looking to go to Michigan State's bowl game this season? Well, yeah, you're out of luck there, but if you're looking to go to any other bowl game, Gametime is the place to get your tickets. It's the greatest ticketing app out there, guys. Now, why do I love Gametime? So many reasons. Well, the first one is saving that money. Now, let's say that you want to go to a Red Wings game or a Pistons game in the future. Well, yeah, even if it's 2 weeks away, guys, open up the Gametime app. Flash deals will have great prices and great sections just for you. Or let's say, you know what? Hey, Michigan State basketball, they play tonight, but I don't have tickets. Oh, this seems a little too short notice to get great savings. No. The last minute ticket deals on Gametime, they're going to save you that money too. Hey, save money right now. Let's just cut to the chase. Save money right now. Download the Gametime app. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, guys, download the Gametime app. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. What time is it? You already know it. It's game time. All right. So hopefully we're all enlightened right now. After the game, I had a recap video where I also said, hey, share your thoughts with me. So we're just going to go through your thoughts. I'm going to comment on them. Jameson writes in, do you think there's actually anything positive we can take from this year? I can't think of any. That black, green, black uniform combination they wore against Purdue was really cool. I thought that was cool. No one wants to hear it. A lot of people are going to disagree with this. And no one especially wants to hear it, too, with how much this kid was making and how little Michigan State actually got out of the season. But, look, if you want to chart his improvement on a line graph, Childs did move up. Like, just what we said at the top of the show, it wasn't enough to drastically change anything this season. But how good would any quarterback be behind that offensive line? Behind that, he did tighten up the turnovers late in the season. Obviously, I'll say it again. I can't make this clear enough. It wasn't perfect. There is still a lot of improvement to go towards with, but I thought he at least improved marginally, and if he sticks around next year, yeah, you got, I guess, those building blocks to work off of, I guess. Blair Montgomery, what sport are we trying to play? I don't know. Wish it was tennis. At least we're good in that one. Pablo writes in, Smith better show some fire. Okay, I can't read the next part. Or his, yeah, whatever. Okay, I should have vetted these before I read them. I'm sorry. He was talking about the famous gif of Jonathan Smith doing something to his body parts at the end of the game. Anyway, Ben writes in, I need to be publicly shamed for being the only person I know to have bought the over on wins at 5.5. Ben. Unfortunately, you're not the only one that picked over 5.5. Like I said, I went 7-5, and after a 3-0 start, or you know what, even not after a 3-0 start. How about after that Iowa game, guys, when they looked so good against that Hawkeye defense, and the Michigan State defense themselves looked pretty good against Caleb Johnson? How could this team miss a bowl game? I don't have an answer for you guys. It's unbelievable. Kyle writes in, can we get a hashtag fire Haller going? Need someone to fight for the school and be a voice, understand the landscape of college football, to go out and get things done. Haller lost me after the Michigan thing. That was the weakest thing that you could ever imagine anyone in his position doing. I don't need to rehash it, but let's just do it anyway. Acting all tough after that scrum after the game where it seems pretty abundantly clear that, well, something's going on there. They even said themselves that, yes, we've had a staffer and a player. They were in there. We're going to make sure something gets done. We're not going to go down without a fight. And then the Big Ten says, okay, we're not investigating anything. And then he just sits in the corner chair. Oh, okay, that's your decision. Oh, okay, sorry. That was tremendously weak on his part. Now, if NIL does become an issue, Michigan State has no shortage of donors that have donated to athletics before. Some are millionaires, some are billionaires that start with a B. If NIL is bottom up, and again, we're going to learn this offseason, it is that easy to tell how strong NIL is, well, then why'd they stop donating? Like, so clearly something is wrong here if NIL isn't strong enough to field a good team next year. And who does that fall on? Maybe this is just lazy thinking. I think it's the top guy in the organization then. So, I've been like an Alan Haller guy for a very long time. He's doing good for the who run non-revenue sports, tennis. But clearly it's just the response after that Michigan game incredibly weak. And if your NIL also isn't doing good, well, that who else would it fall on? Who else would it fall on to, make sure that donors are taken care of and are inclined to donate to this school? That's kind of the job here. It's not to make sure that, the women's cross country team is doing really good in every meet. That should be at the bottom of the list, quite frankly. I'm sorry to be so crass about it. Don't really care about tennis, cross country, and not a lot of people do. So let's actually start directing, energy, money to the programs that matter here, the ones that bring in, the dollars. Anna writes in, what's the biggest change you want to see in the offseason to feel positive about next year? And that's gonna have to be another episode this week because that's 30 minutes worth of stuff here. You got to make some coaching changes. I can't have your defensive line going 6 games without a sack. So I'm sorry, Chad Wilt. You gave it a great run in this 1 year here. I don't care how bad the injuries were. Your unit was actually one of the least injured the entire year. So that's unbelievable to have that long of a stretch. Beyond that, the coordinators, I'm not ready to get rid of them. I know that it wasn't great. They were not good at making in-game adjustments. But I will give them this. The offensive line, not good. Defensive line, not good. As a coordinator, you can't do anything with situations like that, right? Like you are asked to paint the Mona Lisa, and all you were given is a cup of tapioca pudding to make it work. They were handcuffed from the start, so I'll give them another year or two before we start railing on them. But yeah, oh boy. Ryan writes in, is there any reason to believe we can get a big-time transfer class to supplement the not deep roster and poor recruiting class? As the recruiting class stands at 16 kids right now, that's hopefully one thing they're telegraphing is that they are going to save a lot of scholarships for the transfer portal. But again, I sound like a wind-up toy right now. How strong is that NIL going to be? Because it has to be, guys. Like, I'm sorry to just, point to NIL being the solution for all of our problems, but guys, look at what has been going on here. 3 straight years without a bowl game. This is a program with absolutely no sizzle, no juice. I don't even know if we're mentioned on College Game Day anymore, quite frankly. Like, to pull kids here, ones that are talented, money's going to have to talk. Because what else is? Coupons at the dairy store? Just nice walks down the Red Cedar River? Let's get serious. It's going to have to be money is going to be the issue here. And I wish we were better positioned to, make it work, just us common fans. But guys, it takes a lot of money to field a roster. So I hate to be one of those people on my hands and knees begging, oh, please, millionaires and billionaires, please save us. That's just the world college football is in right now, though. Like, God bless you if you guys do donate every year. Like, I'm sure it does help a little bit, but it's the seismic donations that are going to have to matter here more. Manny writes in, best football at the end of the season, he said. We looked absolutely awful these past few weeks. My lady goes to Michigan. I'm losing my mind from jealousy and what it's like to root for a team with apparently a pulse. That was a good win for them today. I gotta say, and I know I'm in the minority here, but and of course I root against Michigan every single game. Let's not get it twisted here. I was not rooting for them, but never in my life has a Michigan win bothered me less than that did today, just because the Ryan Day dialogue is completely hysterical and they cannot get out of their own way. And Ohio State is dead to me. And I said this on Friday's show too. They've been dead to me too, because they've done nothing to help this whole thing the last 3 or 4 years here. So look, they let Michigan go to the Cultural Playoff, Big Ten Championship. I don't even care about Ohio State anymore. I used to watch that game with a lot of passion, but I just don't like either of those programs anymore. And the fact that Ohio State got popped at home, 20-point favorites. Again, not rooting for Michigan. That was hilarious, though. That, like, no other way to paint that other than hysterical. Maddie writes in, this is what we'll end it on. My one spin zone is that Michigan State could literally not have had a worse schedule for a rebuild, but yeah, it's a win or bust next season. So, yeah, it was a tough schedule. It was a tough schedule, but that last month you also ended with Rutgers, Purdue, which you barely won, and then Illinois. I mean, look, I know Illinois got us pretty good. They were ranked. That's still not a great Illinois team. You could have beat them. That Michigan game, yeah, we obviously just see them have an incredible win today. You could have won that game too. The Boston College, they turned out not to be a great team. So, yes, you had to play some Titans, right? Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana. It was a tough schedule. But, man, not so tough where you don't make a bowl game. I love you guys. Can't believe a lot of you guys are watching right now. Misery loves company. And let's stay miserable this week. We're actually going to get on the positive side of life here because Jeremy Dewar, Spartans Illustrated, we will talk hockey early next week. We got a lot to talk about with this football program. Where on earth do we go from here? Basketball, they play again on Wednesday against Minnesota. Big Ten opener in Minneapolis. So, yeah, guys, cannot thank you enough for all your comments. You guys watching throughout the season. Really bummed. This is the last game we get to talk about of the year. But that's just life here, baby. We just don't do bowl games. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. If you need me, I'll be upstairs with the beer in my hand. But first, I got to be a responsible parent and probably read some bedtime books, brush some teeth. But after that, yeah, Dad's going to have some pops tonight. So, oh my God. Why does it have to be this way? Why? And I get losing, but by 30? Oh, my God. Oh, God. Go green. I guess.